Hails and well met, and welcome to my Dankest Dungeon. I'm your host, Mally Nim, and today within these dank walls I bring you a segment I like to call Dankest Dialogue, a show where I interview ttrpg actual play creators to nerd out about their campaigns and more. Today I am joined by DM Rain. Hail, Rain. Welcome to my Dankest Dungeon. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, what's up? My name is DM Rain. I am a DM and TTRPG enthusiast, as well as one of the hosts for the ATH podcast. I'm also a librarian IRL. I work with computers as a technical specialist and a friend of Mal through the podcast, and I'm really happy to be here.
And I'm really happy to have you. Thanks so much for accepting my invitation for an interview. So let's get started from the beginning. How did you get into TTRPGs, and what is your experience, and how did you become a dungeon master?
Yeah, sure. So I'm actually kind of new to the TTRPG scene as compared to how long I've been into just fantasy in general. I'm kind of an old head. I'm a little older than some of my players and whatnot. So I've been around the scene for a while. But as far as TTRPGs, that started, I would say, around 2015, around the time where 5th edition was starting up and Critical Role was blowing up. I had a friend of mine at my job at the time who really wanted to do a 5th edition campaign. So he ended up running. I got a couple of friends, many of which are still my friends to this day and still playing my campaign. And we did a campaign, played for about a year or so, maybe a little less, before he's like, man, I really want to play as not be a DM, and here's all these cool new systems, because he also was really getting into systems. Since I was putting a lot of effort into like the character backstories and telling stories and being descriptive, or at least kind of cohesive with what I wanted to do with my character, he's like, why don't you DM? And my other friends was like, yeah, you should DM. So we ended up picking a different system that wasn't 5th edition. It was actually 2nd edition 7th C, which it's a whole different system. It's a D10 system that's based upon getting raises and like betting against the DM. And it's a lot of improv. So, and it's set in this like Renaissance Europe with magic, so fantasy Europe. So it's not like the French, it's like a different word, like the Montagnans or something like that. Did that for a bit and really enjoyed that campaign. That campaign was a ton of fun. And then from there, we started to switch over to the other systems, which was 5th edition, because everybody's like, oh, let's play 5th. It's big. It's has more rules. It has more, like builds and whatnot, because 7th C is mostly like theater in mind. Did that for a while. And then about halfway through, or like level 10-ish, which is probably all the way through, obviously, for 5th edition, we decided to switch to Pathfinder, 2nd edition. So we kind of had a big central story plot thing that converted the characters to Pathfinder, and I've been doing that ever since.
Very cool, very cool. So what was it like moving from 7th C to 5th edition to Pathfinder?
It's a huge change in terms of how it feels. So 7th C is definitely a system that's a lot about improv. The rules are there as kind of a suggestion, kind of like they help facilitate things, but for the most part, the players are going to succeed. And going from that to 5th edition was a huge change, because 5th edition was all about like builds and having actual like player stats and doing rolls for checks and all that. And that was a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed that. It's a really great introductory one, but it's a lot of prep work. And then when second edition Pathfinder showed up, we tried it, we fell in love with it, and everybody wanted to keep running it. So we actually decided to do a transition to that, and it's a lot different, a lot more systems, a lot more builds, really cool rules, and it's a lot more in depth. And been a fan ever since. It's really hard to play anything but. That's kind of been my go-to.
I hear good things, though. I started with first edition Pathfinder, and I have a little trepidation wanting to move to Pathfinder or try it out. So, props to you.
Oh yeah, it's definitely it can be kind of scary, simply because a lot of people say, there's a lot of rules to it. It's a lot more in depth when it comes to rules, but it's actually pretty well, like in terms of how well it's streamlined. A lot of the rules really make sense, and they actually help facilitate like the gameplay. Like it's just like things make sense. Like, can I do this? There's a rule or a section that says yes, you can do this because this. And it's made things a lot more easier for me as a DM because I could focus a lot more on the story, and I let the system handle the heavy lifting. But I think a big portion of that is because there's a lot of automation on Foundry. I found a BTT that I really enjoy using. So that's kind of helped a lot because I don't have to like run the numbers and like, okay, what's your circumstance bonus? What's your whatever? Like the system does a lot of the heavy lifting for me so that I can focus on the story and the presentation. So that was a huge motivation to switch over.
Very cool, very cool. Still not sold myself, but hey, props to you. Now, on the next subject, actual plays. How did you get into You're an actual play creator. How did you get into making actual plays?
I think it came from my creative side. I've always like wanted to write stories. I'm an only child, so I had to entertain myself. And a lot of what I would do was kind of like create characters based off of some of my favorite like universes out there, like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or whatever was out at the time. And so making and writing stories, it just kind of like naturally fit. Once I became a DM, I started creating characters and using characters that I've written as like NPCs and as villains and whatnot. And it was a lot of fun seeing the reaction of my friends to interacting with them and having conversations about meeting so and so and what's the next plan for next week. Oh, we definitely got to do this. And it was really kind of inspiring for me. And so that kind of just motivated me to continue focusing up on writing and doing plays, doing like, let's plays. And then the natural progression of, just doing it in person with friends IRL at our house to doing it at the library and having like a budget to get like all the cool, tools, to then meeting an online community and then using those tools and the practice I have with that to then add some art and use music and get some characters and players who invest a lot of time in creating backstory, and it just kind of naturally folded into this really beautiful web of craziness and dice rolls and laughter, and just love it.
I agree. I love it myself too. So, how many actual plays are you working on? Have you worked on? Are in the process of working on?
Oh, that's a question. Give me a second to try to think. So currently, right now, I have 3 active Pathfinder second edition campaigns. I have my Pathfinder campaign that I started with a bunch of new players that have never played Pathfinder before, and that's 2 campaigns. One of which came from a group of us that started a 5th edition campaign with the same community of people that were connected to like Corey and to some of the artists, Artsy and all that. Somebody wanted to run a really cool sounding 5th edition campaign, but technical issues with their computer and things kind of didn't work out. So the players were pretty chill and wanted to continue playing. So I volunteered to do Pathfinder because I wanted to do a campaign. So that's one of my campaigns. They started at level 1. They're up to level 15. We've actually gone all the way through. So we've been doing that for years. Then a new campaign recently, that's the one that's actually on the Tuesday, ATH Nerdcast. That was just a bunch of friends that are on the podcast that many of them haven't really played second edition. They're really big into 5th edition, and they were kind of on the I don't know if I want to play second edition or not. And I said, let's try it. We did a one shot and they wanted to keep playing, so that turned into that. And then my campaign that's on Saturdays, which is the one that I do at the library, and that's the one that was the continuation of the same group that started with my first Let's Play group when I was a player in 2015, which then I played 7th C, then we went to 5th edition. It's literally the same group of 4, now at this point 3 consistent players plus about 2 or 3 others. At one point that one had 9 people every week. So and then I had a couple others. I've done Lancer. I ran Lancer for a little bit. That campaign is still going. I just decided that to step away from it because it was a lot. I'm playing in another campaign, and I also was running a 5th edition campaign on Sundays. I kind of stepped away from that one because it was a lot of prep work. It's basically 5 out of my 7 days were games, so I had to kind of take a break. So I'm comfortably at 3. I think that's a number I'm going to stick to in terms of DMing. As far as playing, though, I can play 100 campaigns. I love playing.
Oh yeah, I feel you there. So, out of all those campaigns, how many have you actually recorded and people can find on the internet?
Currently 1. It's going to be the Tuesday campaign, which is the Whispering Woods campaign. It's at Twitch, at ATH Nerdcast, so ATH_Nerdcast. That is the campaign that was done with a lot of the members from the actual podcast itself. We do that every Tuesday around, I think around 1 p.m. Eastern time, almost all the time we start. And that one was kind of a culmination of, it was a one shot that I started, and it was just going to be private, but they wanted to keep playing, and we suggested to record it. And it was I've had enough practice with Foundry and the world that I'm this might be a good way to kind of get a Pathfinder campaign Let's Play out there on a consistent basis to our group of friends, because I'm always trying to sell them on Pathfinder and trying to get them to try it out. And I really enjoyed it because it's taught me a lot about the production value, using a lot of my time at the library to set up things and get the maps properly set up and the NPCs. Use a lot of tools for for example, the voice changers that I use. So that's really the only one currently that I'm done a kind of a VOD people can watch. I might do more, we'll see. But right now, got my hands full with that group of players and enjoy every minute of it.
Nice. So you decided to start streaming this one. What Whispering Woods, what was the inception, the ideas and inspirations for this campaign?
So Whispering Woods is the name of the community that I'm a part of, that I created for, it's a private for a couple of our friends. And it's based off the inception. We had so many characters, and it's based off the story of like the characters from all these worlds, like going to sleep, and then in their dreams they go to this like tavern in the Whispering Woods, where they interact with each other, and they tell stories about the adventures they're a part of. So it's kind of this like central hub type of a thing. So in that vein, the Whispering Woods campaign was created in a sense of like, this is a group of adventurers that is in my homebrew world that I've written up and created. So it's not a dream, it's actually they're in the world, but it's kind of like interacting with the other campaigns that are offline, because the actions that the other campaigns do affect what happens in this campaign and vice versa. So it's kind of to create a living and breathing world. So it's sort of like, you hear the whispers of the other party members, and in the woods it's kind of hard, you can't really see everything. So it's kind of like that whole concept of like the mysterious, but also like understanding you're in the woods, you're in a place, you're in this story, you're in this continent. And I kind of ran with the idea, and I've really enjoyed it.
Wow, I really dig that concept. That's really fun. I like that. Do you happen to have any favorite moments from the campaign so far?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite moments is a recent one. So in the campaign, we have a character that ran away from home because they were a part of an arranged marriage. So that character has been away from home for a long time, and it's been an adventure and whatever. So because they were gaining notoriety as an adventurer, doing things and solving whatever, becoming famous, to me it made sense that the people that she ran away with would hear about that. So they came back to say, hey, you have an obligation to your family, because she's a part of a family that has some influence within her homeland. You have an obligation to fulfill this marriage. So it was like the wedding. So I had the characters show up, and the NPCs were interacting with them. And one of my favorite NPCs hatched a plot that they figured out, because there was some ulterior motive why this marriage was being pushed. And I kept it from the players, and I made that NPC seem like an absolute villain. Her name was Lucretia. I have art of her. She was kind of like the quest giver, or the patron, or the sponsor that they respected. They knew she was kind of unhinged, but they kind of respected her because they knew, hey, this character has treated us well. And then I talked to the player and kind of got an idea of what they wanted to do with the story, and I kind of ran with it, and I leaned into that this character is betraying everyone, and did a big reveal where each player had their own personal story, and I kept feeding just that player enough information that if they were to come together and say, hey, this is what I had, they would have figured out, oh, there's a plot. But they didn't, because they each were kind of told to kind of keep it to themselves for the sake of each other. And then when it came to fruition and they found out the full story, they all kind of were like, oh my goodness. And it was this big epic the character showing up to her own wedding, and then one character transforming into a dragon, another character bringing in a bunch of support, and then one finding out the truth and basically getting themselves into a position to actually strike back against the quote unquote villains who were manipulating this whole thing. And it was a really good reveal because it was realistic. They had the manipulator did manipulating, but not kind of like sleight of hand or hand waving, actually manipulated by talking to each of the characters individually. And it came out really good, and the characters were super like the players were super invested and really enjoyed it. And it was nice to see a plan that had months of prep kind of go through. And it's mostly because I trusted my players enough to okay, this is what they would. Here's the carrot on the stick for your character, and each of the characters were led to the spot that basically helped the NPC complete her goal. So, yeah, that was my favorite one.
Fun. Love it when a scheme comes together. Any... still on Whispering Wood, any regrets you might have had, or anything that you wish you would have done differently in the moment with a reflection?
It's kind of hard to tell because a lot of times the mistakes end up turning into really good character moments or really good story moments. I think if anything, my regret was I kind of sped through the first few levels because it was meant to be a one-shot. So I wanted them to experience a few levels of gameplay. So it ended up speeding them up to level 4 or 5 by the time the main campaign started, rather than them progressing from level 1 on. And it really has changed the pacing of the initial start compared to my other campaign where I started from level 1 and pushed them all the way through to level 15. It's not to say it's a bad thing, but it's like a lot of times in the other campaign, they reminisce about how much they've grown in terms of characters and when they started. And Pathfinder really is good with lower level. Like the levels 1 through 3 are fantastic. Like you still have a lot of options and they're a lot of fun. And there's some really cool enemies that are lower level that would have been really fun to use that kind of subvert the expectation of oh, it's just a goblin. It's just going to swing and hit you. And then all of a sudden it's wait, it lit itself on fire and it's throwing grenades and out there going to be what the heck? But then I got all these tools and it helps them learn. Thankfully the players are super quick. So they picked up on a lot of the mechanics and have not struggled, but I could see that being a struggle for newer players that aren't as deeply invested. So yeah, definitely slowing the pacing down was probably my only regret for the first couple levels.
I can understand that. Not too big of a regret, and it's really good that all your possible regrets turned into good moments. That's always fun. People can find The Whispering Wood on YouTube, correct?
I'm really bad about that, so I'm kind of self-conscious. But yes, we do have an ATH Nerdcast on YouTube, but I forget to upload. I'm starting to. This is new to me in terms of YouTube and content creation. So I'm kind of starting to learn it, trying to get help with editing and trying to make sure things are properly paced out. Same with the podcast. But if you want to catch it, it is on ATH Nerdcast. If you just type that into YouTube, you will find our YouTube page. It has some of the VODs. Some of them are missing. Some of the recent ones are not on there. I think one of my big things is kind of like how Critical Role season 1 was kind of a mess in the beginning because it was joining halfway, and then it started to, once they got to a good point, it started to get more organized. I think I'm trying to trying to hit my stride when it comes to getting my information out there. But definitely the Twitch ATH_Nerdcast, as well as the YouTube are there if you're interested in kind of seeing some of the Let's Play, seeing what's about, production value, the characters, the art, all that kind of stuff.
I can 100% agree with that. It is definitely a learning and growing experience. So you mentioned ATH Nerdcast. What's that, and what was the inception and how did that come about?
That was created on the tail end of a event that we wanted to run at the library. So a coworker wanted to run a ttrpg conference talking about world building, and it was supposed to be in person. They were gonna promote it, get a bunch of people to show up and do some sort of a thing. Unfortunately, they didn't get out to promote as much. Not as many people showed up as we thought would show up. I was mostly focused on getting the people to speak and the people to set up and the information and all that. I was focused on the technical aspect, but the advertising aspect wasn't as big. So I ended up streaming it on Twitch. Let me just stream the conference on Twitch. And we got a fairly decent amount of people watching from the community, and they really enjoyed what it was about and the talks. And I saw how that felt really fun. Like, it felt successful simply because I got a lot of really positive feedback, and I wanted to kind of keep doing that on a regular basis. So I talked to Artsy about it. And I would love to do a podcast. And, she mentioned that, that she'd support whatever I wanted to do. So definitely, if that's something that you enjoy doing, to kind of pursue it, and that she would help out with the art and the reactives, the backgrounds. So she handled a lot of the stuff that was kind of the things that made me hesitate. And we kind of ran from there. And it feels natural. It's just a bunch of friends talking about topics. We themed it. We have meetings and talk about the topics we want to talk about. It's just been a lot of fun. And it just kind of evolved from there. Hopefully, because we took the summer off, once we're back in September, we'll start fresh with the new season, and kind of get into a rhythm again, and kind of start going back into it with a bit more experience under our skin this time. So,
all right, so wanting to come back in September, a little hiatus, wanting to come back. That's the perfect segue. Any future plans besides coming back to ATH Nerdcast? Any future plans, campaigns you wish to discuss?
Well, maybe. There's a couple things I have planned. We do also have a website, which I plan to kind of hit in full stride. So it's just athnerdcast.com. We have articles on there. There's a lot of things I'm ready to upload. I went to a Renaissance fair and all this, and there's a lot of inspiration there. So a lot of the future plans are going to be recordings or interviews like this, some breakdowns, maybe some tutorials on how to set things up, some advice, just maybe a open roundtable talking about certain things. So a lot of the behind the scenes aspect on setting up Let's Plays or the plays on Twitch, OBS, and how to handle all that kind of stuff in terms of related to TTRPGs. So I want to do the education aspect because it's kind of natural as a librarian. As far as campaigns are concerned, I really enjoy the three that I'm going to play, or the three that I'm playing right now. One of which is coming to its fruition. The level 15s are going to be eventually hitting, end game and finishing their campaign, and at that point, it'll free me up. I'm not sure if I want to deviate from Pathfinder. That's why I kind of want to try other systems as a player. I did enjoy, I do enjoy 5th edition. I did enjoy Lancer. I really, really want to play a Savage Worlds a setting, Deadlands or something, because I enjoy that system, but I've never had a chance to play it as either a player or a DM. So there might be some kind of like one-shots of different systems, because we always talk about different systems. We'll see if that comes to fruition. That really just depends if I have the time, but if not, I definitely want to do a full-on level 1 to level 20 Pathfinder campaign that might involve like different community members from different Let's Plays, or even DMs, like people who don't get a chance to play, to give them an opportunity to kind of do some sort of a play, and have a kind of cooperative storytelling thing going on, especially since all my campaigns are linked on the same continent, so my same homebrew continent, so it kind of works out as they interact with each other indirectly, although directly they have interacted with each other at one occasion where we had like 10 people playing at once, which was nuts. So
That's wild. Love to hear it. Love that you're trying to give DMs more chance to play and experience new things. And also, tutorials are always a great idea. I mean, if it wasn't, tutorials helped me get to where I am with my recordings as well. So tutorials are always welcome in the community.
absolutely, because I see that as a really good way to collab with a lot of fellow DMs or fellow community or content creators, because I watch a lot of creators that just do all sorts, like yourself. I know there's a lot of PF2 creators that do things and are also a part of the community that I'm a part of. And it would be nice to be like, hey, this is how you set up this, or hey, are you new to this? I think it would be a really interesting way to get people to do a kind of a fun, short, hey, let's teach you how to do this, and kind of get their teaching out there, promote themselves, but also help newer players or people get into the hobby, because it's a very good hobby. I love it. It's really good.
Same. For the final segment, do you have any show and tell? Anything you wish to show off?
I do have some art, mostly written, drawn by Artsy Faye, my wonderful fiance, and Corey, who is a fantastic artist, and a few other art friends, some art. So I'll provide you with some of that. I'll actually, you'll see some of that now, so that way it can be shown.
Well, let's take it to the other screen and show off some of the art from your campaigns. And here we are. Tell us about this first piece, Rain.
Well, the first piece here is done by friend of the channel, Corey. This is the Monday campaign. This is the Picking Up the Pieces campaign, which was named after that because it's the one that we started after the previous DM couldn't continue. This is the group that started all the way at level 1 and is now level 15. So this is the current party. So you have Lily, who is an oracle. She's the healer. You have the monk, Cly. Veracity, who is like the investigator and kind of like the main character. So if you were going to say the face, there's Rain, who, funnily enough, was created to make people confused because her name is Rain and my name is Rain. And then there's Dorn, who is a dwarf. who is obsessed with, not obsessed, but really likes crafting really cool weapons. As you can tell, he's always fully armored. So this is a fun piece that we did for the party since they've been together for quite a long time. It's a nice way to display the dynamics between them. And we can't forget Oreo, the bunny, which Rain is a witch, so she has a kind of like a pet familiar, and Oreo is her familiar, and that's who she has holding. So can't forget Oreo, because he will get upset.
Very cool, very cool. Love the art, love the party. Let's talk about this next piece.
This is the Whispering Woods campaign, Tuesday campaign. So this is a piece that we got sent that shows off the characters. I think the name of it's Violet Witch with 3 H's is the artist. So this here has all the characters. On the top left, the blonde hair girl who is casually dropping the drinks, that is Win. That's actually my character, who is an NPC. And it's kind of a central point of the storyline of the world that I've created. Since she travels and she interacts with all the parties. So all of the parties at some point might have heard of her or met with her. To the bottom left, that's Lena. She is a kineticist half-dragon, the one that turned into the dragon during the wedding. In the middle, with the elf ears, that is Dusk. Then there is Skari, the dwarf. That was the one that was going to be put into the arranged marriage. He's a tiefling, but we joke that he's a satyr. The tiefling is Alex, the gunslinger. He's all about accidental luck and whatnot, so that fits his vibe. And then Maria, the healer. So she is the cleric, and is kind of like the party mom. So yeah, it's just kind of them enjoying a normal night out. So love this piece.
Agreed. It's a very fun piece. So, this next piece, please tell us about this one.
Yeah, this is actually the first piece for the Tuesday campaign. The one above was the second one that was created. Same artist, and this one has the same characters. It is showing kind of when they, like how they normally kind of hang out. As we can see, Alex is, again, kind of a personality. Now, the thing behind Alex is Ghostwriter. I believe Ruby made Ghostwriter in Hero Forge. I think that was one of the things that she did during the podcast once. He is essentially a spirit that lives inside of a book that they found in a library. And he's kind of a storyteller. He writes in this book that's constantly being updated, and it's attached to Alex. So it was a lot of fun to see Ghostwriter here. He's kind of like the DM insert. Like if I need, like, the party's completely stuck, he's my Ghostwriter might know the answer type of thing. Though I don't need to use him as much, and he's mostly comedic relief, but he's, really fun. And you can see Lena has the infinite cheese. She is obsessed with cheese. They found an infinite restocking source of an infinite amount of cheese that every day will completely turn into a corner wedge of cheese full again. And then on the bottom right is Dorndurger, which is basically a flail with a giant brick on it. That is Skari's weapon. It's as much of a character as any of the characters here. So that's kind of the three things that pop out for this one that weren't in the previous one.
I do love Ghostwriter's appearance. Design, that's the word.
Oh yeah, he was a lot of fun to kind of
conceptualize with the party. He's meant to be kind of spooky, but he's really kind-hearted, and he's just a librarian at heart, and he just likes knowledge, and he always picks on Alex. But deep down, he has helped Alex out a bunch. So a lot of the accidental things that happen, Alex, we flavor it as ghostwriters sometimes helping. So it's a lot of fun.
Love it, love it. How about this next piece?
Lucretia, my beloved. This is the NPC that I mentioned. This is Lucretia. She is the NPC that was the Tuesday campaign's patron that pretended. I mean, she didn't really pretend. She actually did betray the party into kind of forcing the marriage to happen so that the villains would play their hand and show themselves so that she can brutally eliminate them. As you can tell by the bottom left, she is not always the most calm and collected person. She has a crazy side to her that sometimes is hinted at, and it's really fun to see the party react when she shows that side. But she is actually one of the leaders of a city called Five Sails, which Five Sails is actually a Seventh Sea city that was mentioned in the book that was played in my Seventh Sea campaign that I brought over to my Pathfinder campaign. So there's that cross-pollination of systems and continuation of the story. And she's actually the first NPC that I created when I DM'd. So this was a lot of fun to actually use her now that I have grown in experience. And Corey has drawn this piece. I told her, give me aristocratic, Renaissance, medieval, merchant princess that has a crazy side to her, and she rolled with it. So I love it.
I love that design as well. I can see the aristocratic, and I can see a little bit unhinged in that smile. It's really cool. Next up, we have this weapon. Tell us about this.
So Artsy Fair, if you guys don't know much about her, is really, really good at making weapons. So this is also the Tuesday campaign. So the character Dusk, the elf, this is the weapon Monarch. It is a weapon in the Pathfinder 2nd edition. It's like a star knife that's like a returning knife that you can throw. I like the name and I like the concept. So I kind of warped it into a sword because it was used by her mother, hence the cloth was the color and the sash that her mother would wear, which has been incorporated into her current design. You'll see that on the Tuesday campaign. If you guys follow up, she has that cloth on her design. And it's a weapon that essentially has a fragment of her mother's soul, and it sort of like floats around Dusk invisibly, so most people can't see it. She can kind of bring it out into existence, sort of like Noctis from Final Fantasy or whatnot. She can kind of like mid-swing, the sword pops up and she can incorporate it into her attacks. So I added a monk weapon that has slashing, that's the same stats as her normal attack. And that's Monarch for her. So it's really cool, and it imbues her mom. It also has this really added effect where if people touch it, they can't like grab it. They can't like physically grab it unless they're deemed worthy, which means like the mother approves of them. So, most of the enemies won't be able to grab it. And in the one scene where the previous character was revealing her plot, Dusk actually had the sword attack her to try to break out. And she just grabbed the sword and say, oh, this is dangerous, and handed it back to her, which kind of hinted that, wait a second, maybe she's not evil. So using the weapon to kind of like tell a story. And that was due to Artsy. So I love this. Love this weapon.
Hell yeah, I love the story and the flavor of this. Very cool. Next up, it looks like we have an elf character.
Yes, this is Win. Win Blackwell. This is the character that was holding, quote unquote, the drinks, holding the drinks in the second piece. She is my NPC character. She is one of the first characters I created. They're like, hey, make a D&D character. So of course I made Elf Ranger because I'm not a creative person when it comes to my own characters as a player right off the bat until I sort of get comfortable, then I add more flavor. So this piece was done obviously by Corey. It shows her redesign because she was actually based off of the design that I found online. So I didn't want to keep using a random design online, especially if, it's someone else's design and it's a different artist, so I actually said, let me actually give her an actual design. So I based the color scheme off of the previous design, but I created a brand new outfit with Corey, brand new look for her. She has the braid in her hair because the braid is the one thing she remembers about her mom. Her mom always braided her hair when she was young. So that's a really important part of the design. And also the cowlick, because that was also in the previous design. So it's a throwback to the previous design. There's always that cowlick on the top of her head because it just reminds me of the previous design. And I'm a huge fan of scarves. I love long scarves, flowing scarves. So that's always in almost all my characters. And of course her weapons, so it's a really fun character. Most of the parties love interacting with her, and I love role-playing as her.
Yeah, I enjoy that design as well. Long scarves are cool, and the design itself, she's just damn adorable.
Oh, she's a sweet bean. Until you piss her off in terms of hurting her friends, then she could be a little bit, a little bit crazier. Not crazy, but a little bit more protective.
Right. Got to choose the words carefully. So, the final piece you wish to display?
Yeah, this is an artsy Fey piece. This is a piece where I'm actually a player. As you can see on the bottom of the Scooby-Doo style turning the corner thing is my character Rain, cleric. Above is Nalaya, who is Artsy's character. Then we have Subame, who's a friend's character, Zakira, and then of course we have Penny. So it's just our group, and the figure on the left is our DM, Mega. He actually is a friend of the ATH. I streamed with him on Friday some Lords of the Fallen, which we plan to keep streaming weekly Souls-like games. So he kind of came up with a design with Artsy, and Artsy kind of put together this DMPC style character with the different masks. As you know, DMs wear different masks, and of course, rolling the dice, and it's kind of like the god angel flying above watching what's happening. So I enjoy it because it is where one of my times where I get to be a player, which, by the way, I pretty much plan on being a player in one of your little adventures. We're doing some Shadow the Weird Wizard, so I am hyped. So I got this picture because it's yeah, this is me as a player, and I'm going to be a player in another one. So that means there's probably going to be more art. So I'm super excited for that.
Hell yeah. Love to hear it. Well, that about wraps it up for this interview. Do you have any final words or parting words you wish to say, Mr. Rain?
Yeah. I definitely want to thank the community that has kind of evolved around the Whispering Woods. You guys know who you are. The members of the podcast, Frax, Core, Morgan, the Tuesday group, all you guys, of course, Artsy, and especially Artsy because one, she introduced me to you, Mel. while browsing the interwebs, one of my coworkers, who's a huge fan of Shadow of the Demon Lord, I brought it up multiple times, and she's like, "Hey, this goblin is playing that game." So definitely thanks and shout out to Artsy for getting us connected. Yeah, and just, I mean, support your local libraries. I'm a librarian. That's a good place where if you're interested in learning and getting into TTRPGs, there's always TTRPG groups in libraries. I tend to find out it's a nice kind of place to go, and just treat each other like you want to be treated. Simple as that. It's the internet. Times are rough, but this escape from reality is definitely something that I definitely appreciate every single moment I get to interact with my fantastic players and friends that I've made throughout the years DMing.
Awesome. Thank you, Artsy. And thanks again, Rain. Hope you have a most excellent day.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to working with you and playing. And let's do this again sometime. Maybe I'll do the reverse, and we'll just sit around a bunch of old nerds just talking about the good old times.
I look forward to it. Thank you again for joining me, Rain. You can find links to ATH Nerdcast as well as the artists who have worked on Rain's projects in the description below. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and drop a comment. I really appreciate it.